request everyone to please remain silent. The guests will be arriving soon. I request all the children to remain silent and be seated. The guests are arriving now. And other dignitaries have arrived. Let us welcome them into our midst with a loud round of applause. Vayu, Akash, the 5 gross elements. Over the years, mankind has made its presence felt in each one of these. From the earth, we touch the skies, and now we are reaching beyond the Gagan, the infinite space. And now we begin the journey of Gaganyaan. Esteemed Chief Guest of the Day, other dignitaries, Principal, Vice Principals, Assistant Vice Principal, teachers, and my dear students. Namaste to one and all. On behalf of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Kochi Kendra, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this special program focused on ISRO, past, present, and future. Today, we are gathered here to explore the incredible journey of the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. From launching its first satellite, Aryabhatta, in 1975 to the recent Chandrayaan-3 mission, ISRO has always embodied the spirit of innovation and resilience. As Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam once said, dream, dream, dream. Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. ISRO is a testament to this powerful idea, turning dreams into reality through groundbreaking achievements in space technology. Before we begin, let us take a moment to invoke the blessings of the Almighty. I now invite the school choir to render the prayer. I request everyone to remain seated. We are privileged to have among us a distinguished speaker, Shri N. Sreenivas, General Manager, APEP, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Aluva. His extensive experience and contributions to ISRO's missions make him the perfect guide to take us through this fascinating journey. Shri N. Sreenivas is a native of Mattanjeri, Kochi. He graduated in Mechanical Engineering from Mar Athanasius College of Engineering, Kodamangalam, and completed his M.Tech from REC Calicut in 1996. Thereafter, he joined ISRO Satellite Center, now UR Rao Satellite Center, Bangalore, and later moved to Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Trivandrum. In his career of over 27 years, he was responsible for setting up unique facilities for aerospace R&D. At present, he is the General Manager of the Ammonium Perchlorate Experimental Plant at Aluva, which is a part of VSSC. Your presence here today is truly inspiring for all of us. We are eager to hear your insights and experiences, which will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of ISRO's remarkable journey and its future endeavors. It is with great pride and honor that I extend a special and hearty welcome to you, sir. privileged to have with us today Srimati Std S, Academic Supervisor, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra. I cordially welcome you, ma'am. Your presence greatly enhances the significance of this event. Before we dive into this inspiring and engaging session, let me also extend a warm welcome to our esteemed principal, Srimati Minike, whose steadfast support and leadership has always been a pillar of strength for our school. I also cordially welcome our Vice Principals, Srimati Bindu MR and Srimati Sumi Menon, and Assistant Vice Principal, Srimati Devaki K, to this event. Your presence and encouragement truly uplift us. I would also like to extend a hearty welcome to all the teachers whose dedication and support have been instrumental in making this event a success. And finally, I would like to acknowledge all the students whose enthusiasm and participation greatly contributes to the success of this event. Without further ado, let us commence our program. Dear friends, please join me in welcoming Shri N. Sreenivas to the stage.
Respected Academic Coordinator Sunita Madam, Principal Bhavan Vidya Mandir Mini Madam, Vice Principals, students, very good morning and namaskar. So I am very glad and privileged and honored to be here in Bhavan's Vidya Mandir, Elamakkara, a part of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, because it has been in the news for the, since I've been studying in classes, school in Matanjeri, way back in 35-40 years. Those time itself, I've been hearing about Bhavan's Vidya Mandir appearing in the newspapers for various reasons, in various achievements or accomplishments in academics as well as extracurricular activities. So, in addition to building and creating good students, they create, this particular institution creates good human beings as well as good citizens. We can see from there the motto, vision, mission, as well as in the pledge that you regularly take. That is impressive. That encourages or reminds each one of the students to sacrifice for the country whenever necessary. That makes this particular student community very unique. That I have not seen any of the school pledges like this, to sacrifice yourself for the country. That really is impressive pledge that you are taking every day. Now, I'm invited here to speak about ISRO, ISRO's achievements. So before I go into those details, probably everybody is asking what makes ISRO special. What keeps ISRO? What makes ISRO deliver its promises on time and without making any kind of publicities? So before I come to that, let us understand how ISRO was created. You know, ISRO was created in 1962. Its initial name was INCOSPAR, International Committee for Space Research. It was constituted by or instituted by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai using his own money, his own wealth, because he was heading 28 institutions at that time. Physical Research Laboratory at Ahmedabad is one of them. Many industries. So he had a discussion with Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba, who was Atomic Energy Commission chairman way back in early 60s, maybe 61, 62. And with the consent of Jawaharlal Nehru in 1962, INCOSPAR was set up. And so in order to build, to realize the dream of making India a spacefaring nation, so he recruited a handful of scientists and engineers from various parts of the world. Maybe within India and from abroad also, they were having their higher education at that time. So maybe 4, 7, 10, very handful of people he selected. And they assembled together at Tumba. That is where Vikram Sarabhai chose to set up ISRO, or the INCOSPAR at that time, for conducting rocket launch experiments very close to a magnetic equator that time. So, and the first rocket launch happened in 1963 from Tumba, that is Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. We'll go into the details from my presentation. So that was the beginning of ISRO. So if you speak to anybody who joined or who worked in ISRO during 60s, 17 and 18, they will talk about ISRO culture. So there is a unique culture which only ISRO can own, ISRO can boast of. So that is mainly to respect each and everybody around you. That is, irrespective of the position that they hold. There is a mutual respect within our organization. Even if a suggestion is coming from the lowest positioned person, that suggestion will be taken or given due consideration, and it will be definitely that will be considered and taken in for further, if it required, it will be taken forward. And that is one thing. Secondly, we work as team. We work as team, and so that is why this kind of discussion is happening there. This discussion is given due consideration. And the camaraderie existing within ourselves. And as you are taking every daily pledge, we sacrifice most of our personal life for the betterment of our organization, thereby improving our nation's stature among the world countries. So that makes ISRO unique and deliver the promises on time. And the next is that we are simple people. We don't flaunt ourselves. We don't give too much propaganda of what we do, who we are, nothing. We don't do any such things. So such things make ISRO unique. And above all, there is no external influence, no political interference, no external influence. There is no religion, caste, or gender bias in our organization. So all these factors make ISRO unique organization. Now I will go to a brief presentation that I prepared for this audience. Yeah, this is a very familiar, here you can find very familiar photographs. You can see in the topmost left top is the place where INCOSPAR was started in 1962. There's a small church in Tumba. That is Mary Magdalene Church. It was a fully functional church. Because that was the only building available in Tumba campus. That is near Trivandrum, 15 kilometers from Trivandrum. So that is where the office was started. In the next photograph, you can see Vikram Sarabhai as well as Dr. Homi Baba discussing about the plans of expansion. And these two legends spoke to the bishop there in that Mary Magdalene Church, who wholeheartedly gave away the church for the intended objective. So that is where everything started. In the next photograph, you can see legends standing together. That Dr. Madhav Nair, you can see on the leftmost side. Then Dr. Abdul Kalam explaining the special machining of or fabrication process to Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Then the next is H.G.N. Murthy, who was heading that Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. Coming to lower bottom, you can see Dr. Abdul Kalam as well as Dr. Aromudan. They are preparing the payload of a Rohini sounding rocket RH-200 for launch. So they are all legends, having PhDs and higher postdoctoral fellowships from abroad. They are doing this kind of work. You can see. That is why that kind of culture is still existing, down-to-earth approach. And the next is Mr. C.R. Satya taking a payload or nose cone of RH-300, Rohini sounding rocket 300 class, to the launch pad for assembly. These are all classic photographs you might have seen in newspapers or articles or in certain books. The last photographs is another photo, that is another image taken at Bangalore. Satellite Systems Division it was called at that time, which was earlier a part of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in 1960s. URAU Satellite Center was established in 1972. So this photo was taken, and you can see a satellite, that is Apple actually. Ariane passenger payload experiment. Apple, the first satellite that we made for launch from a foreign soil, that is French Guiana, Kourou. So you can see that Apple is taken to an open ground in a bullock cart for a certain communication issue, to resolve certain issues associated with uplink, downlink, that is mainly satellite communication. So these are the very classic photographs. Now jumping on to launch vehicles or satellite launch vehicles, so far ISRO has made and what is in the pipeline. The first one is SLV-3. SLV project director was Dr. Abdul Kalam. It was first launch happened in 1979. Even though ISRO was started in 1962 or 63, the development for an indigenous launch vehicle was in progress, and it took nearly 16, 17 years to have our own launcher. Because we started from scratch, from nothing. Without any, those days there was no literature to look into, there was no internet to browse and gather information, so everything we had to try out. We are using our own whatever experience gained. So there were failures were a daily affair, and from failures only we used to succeed. That is how everything. All developments happen. That is another lesson for you. Failure is not the end of the thing. So that is why from failures we have to learn things to move forward. So that is a classic example. SLV is a classic example. So SLV-3 is the first successful launch. That is, even though earlier preceding two launches were failure, SLV-3 was a success. So Dr. Abdul Kalam was its project director. Subsequently, to augment the capabilities of launch capability, SLV-3 had around 40 kilograms to low Earth orbit injection. ASLV had augmented capabilities to place larger, heavier payloads of 150 kilograms to low Earth orbit. That was the objective. So ASLV, as the case of SLV, that was also initial launches were failure. And finally, in 1993, ASLV was successful and that program was closed. A lot of lessons were learned based on which PSLV was designed. And there also, if you see the history, PSLV first launch was also a failure. Those days, we were not getting this kind of glory that glory and affection that people used to give us now. Those days, I have heard that in late 80s and 90s, people used to curse ISRO people because whatever we launch goes to Bengal, Sea Bay of Bengal or maybe Arabian Sea. Because people will not understand, or people did not understand the intricacies as well as complexities of satellite launches or aerospace technology. So that, and I have even heard that they were throwing stones to the buses that convey people or workers from Trivandrum town to the Tumba, which is about 15 kilometers away. So those were the days wherein we were so much dreaded, or we were so much cursed community. Now it has grown to much larger community. Okay, so it is PSLV. PSLV is still operational. It was made operational in 1993. It is still our workhorse. Probably in the next, very soon, next month or so, we will have a PSLV commercial flight C-59. So then there is parallel development was going on to place communication satellites, which require the satellites to be placed in geostationary orbit of 36,000 kilometers. So PSLV was placing the satellites in low Earth orbit or maybe medium Earth orbit, probably somewhere around 300 to 600 kilometers altitude. And that IRS class, that Indian remote sensing class of satellites was placed using PSLV. And whereas GSLV is primarily designed for placing geostationary satellites for communication purposes. Because as I told you earlier that Apple was taken to Kourou, French Guiana, which is a part of South America, which is operated by European Space Agency at a high cost. So, but till the GSLV was made operational in 2001, we were taking the support of this European Space Agency using Ariane space vehicles. to launch INSAT spacecraft, INSAT 1, INSAT 2, INSAT 3 series of satellites, because they were so heavy that PSLV could not take them into intended orbits. So that's why GSLV was, the development was taken up. And now that is also operational in a very short time. PSLV, GSLV, F-14 as well as F-15, they are slated for launch. Then comes launch vehicle Mark III, that is LVM-3. LVM-3, the first flight was in 2015. That can take much higher load, but that is also designed for geosynchronous as well as geostationary orbits. It can take much heavier payloads, like that our Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3 were launched aboard LVM-3. So it can take much heavier load. Then we understood that the market is going towards satellites of lower mass or mini satellites, probably weighing around 50 to 500 kilograms. So a launch vehicle, a newer launch vehicle had to be designed for that purpose. So that is why SSLV D3 launch, developmental flight 3, is slated actually yesterday, but it is postponed to August 15th. You can see the live telecast of SSLV D3 launch on August 15th. Then another vehicle that is under development is next generation launch vehicle NGLV. That is design is underway and subsystems are getting developed. That is a totally new technology that we are developing here. So far, we had in all other vehicles, it is either solid or liquid propulsion system. Solid means HTPB is there, ammonium perchlorate. Ammonium perchlorate is what is produced in the facility at Aluva. So ammonium perchlorate, HTPB are the propellants, solid propulsion system. Then there is a liquid propulsion systems, that is UDMH N2O4, unsymmetric dimethyl hydrazine, as well as nitrogen tetroxide. So these are the two fuels used in most of all these vehicles, except in the third stage of GSLV, we had liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen engine. In the NGLV, all stages are powered with the liquid oxygen, liquid methane engine. So that's an altogether new technology that is getting developed for propulsive system. And you can see all vehicles so far developed are within 50 meters. You can see the NGLV has, as on today, it is the design, the height is 93 meters and the diameter is 5 meters. It is our capability, the present capability within the country is beyond the realization. So a lot of developments are happening in the fabrication side also. To meet the requirements of next generation launch vehicle, because for all our future missions, heavier payloads will be required to be launched or placed in the low Earth orbit or in the mission to moon, mission to Mars and beyond. We will be utilizing heavier payloads for which NGLV class C is required. Now coming to multidisciplinary aspects of a launch vehicle. We are seeing only the exterior of the launch vehicle. Once ignited, it goes there, injects satellite. But there are numerous complexities involved. I will start with the mission design. These are the various aspects defining a launch vehicle. It will start with the mission design, which is a laser pointer here. Laser pointer, Laila. Laser pointer. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a launch vehicle means it has a lot of complexities, as I said. So it will start with the mission design. Mission design means we know the vehicle capabilities and the payload to be placed. Payload means, as far as we are concerned, it is a satellite. So vehicle capabilities and satellite mass and where it is to be placed, that is the starting point. With that, the mission design will be started. Mission means in what way we can go. We have to go because the capability of the vehicle is limited. Whereas the satellite is this heavy, or this has to be based on the role of that satellite. It can be remote sensing satellite, it can be weather satellite, or it can be a military satellite for spying purposes, or it can be a communication satellite. So depending on the orbit to be placed and orientation the satellite orientation to be maintained, the mission design will be performed. That means in what trajectory it has to be performed, how many stages should be there, what should be the propellant loading in each of the stages, because the day of the launch, the wind or the weather on the day of launch also has to be considered in those calculations. Because a small error will result in a satellite being injected in a different orbit. So that will start with the mission design. All these are iterative processes. Then comes the aerodynamics. When we are traveling on our motorcycles, how much drag that we feel because the wind is flowing past us, and maybe maximum 80 to 100 kilometers per hour is the speed that we travel on bikes. Whereas the launch vehicle goes around in the atmosphere, it is traversing at 4 kilometers per second. So that is the speed at which it is traversing the atmosphere. That is up to 10 kilometers altitude. Beyond that, when the satellite injection is happening at around 100 to 150 kilometers, that depends on the mission or a satellite final position. So aerodynamics plays a major role because higher the aero drag, the drag or the resistance offered by the air that is flowing past it, so the more fuel we'll have to spend. So optimally, we have to increase the speed and the dynamic pressure we call. You will learn in higher classes. So all that aerodynamics has to be maintained. Then comes the propulsion. The entire vehicle of this 50 tons, 60 tons, or even 90 tons has to be lifted off the launch pad and taken to that trajectory or the intended orbit. The propulsion system is one of the major major part of a launch vehicle. Next comes the structures. See where this SLV as well as PSLV, and even in videos you can see whatever NASA has posted during the earlier developmental phases. You can see that launch vehicles are breaking down into multiple pieces at the time of launch itself, because that launch loads has to be borne or taken care by the launch vehicle structure. So that structure becomes very important. And also another feature is that it has to have a sufficient strength. At the same time, it should not be too heavy. So that structural optimization is very important here. Then comes the fabrication. Modern fabrication methodologies have to be employed for all the realization of this launch vehicle parts. Then comes the avionics part. Avionics is nothing but aviation electronics. For anything that flies, the requirements are different. Requirements of electronic components or boards, the chips, all those things are different, and they have to be qualified under those environments. Then comes the power systems. See, in ground stations, we can give a power connection through KCB, that whatever boards that we have here. But the entire power requirement, hundreds of watts of power to operate the avionics and other packages, had to be carried by the launch vehicle itself, carried by the rocket itself. So that power systems, batteries, supercapacitors, all those things are designed and configured for aerospace applications and taken or carried along with the launch vehicle. Then comes the navigation, guidance and control. Present now, if we want to go from this place to Edapalli Toll, we immediately set Google Maps, and the way we go, that is called navigation. Somebody else will be telling you how to go, take right here, reduce the speed, there is a traffic signal ahead, all those things, that will be navigation. Guidance and control, somebody will be operating the steering wheels. So like that, launch vehicle also has a navigation, guidance and control. So that is how the intended orbit, the launch vehicle is follow the intended orbit, trajectory. There comes the space ordnance. That means this launch vehicle is made in multiple stages. You will understand it later when you go into deeper into the launch vehicle technology. It is made in stages. So lot of operations are happening between the stage separation, next stage ignition, for which fast acting explosives are required for this thing. So that is called space ordnance. Then there is flight computers and software. We pre-program the flight trajectory, injection, satellite injection. All those things are programmed in the flight computers for real-time decision taking and guidance, navigation, everything. So there are flight computers built in and kept there, which will be constantly monitoring the trajectory of the launch vehicle as well as initiating the controls. Then there is integration and checkout. All these are once realized, we have to integrate them together to make a single launch vehicle. So, and that is called integration. And before it is launched, you have to make sure that each and every system works as intended before the launch itself. Because once it is launched, once it is ignited, you don't have a way, there is no way to return. Once it is ignited, and that's it. It will go to the intended orbit, or if there is any malfunction, the mission director has the, he is given the privilege to destroy the launch vehicle if there is any malfunction. So that is in unavoidable circumstances. But all our quality control and reliability, then mission simulation on ground and environmental simulation, all these will ensure that every subsystem is perfectly designed and qualified for the purpose. So this is the quality control and reliability. So these are the various aspects. Everything is done on ground. Quality control and reliability. We need to have higher and higher reliability for every component. And even for after the integration also, we follow certain practices to make sure that it is having highest reliability. Reliability means the failure is not tolerated. It is, but we do not have any system that is failure proof. But maybe 1 in 100 there can be failure, 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 1,000,000. So we have to quantify the reliability. When we go to that human rating, I will explain about this later. Then mission simulation, entire parts will be integrated in a computer. The characteristics of each and every subsystem is made in terms of mathematical models and programmed into a ground computer and seen what are the external effects and what is the result of certain external unexpected events on the trajectory of the launch vehicle. So that is done on mission simulation. That is another major part. And then environment simulation. See, the launch vehicle, when it is lifting off the ground, the propulsion system is making a lot of noise. Say in your classroom, when a teacher is taking class or when I am speaking here, the decibels is around 50 to 60 decibel. That is the kind of sound level or sound pressure level that we are facing. But when the launch vehicle is taking off, the sound pressure level can go as high as 140 decibel. This is logarithmic. So from 50 to 51 means this is 10 times. So that's way. So 140 decibel means normal human nothing, no living things can survive those environment, and that will induce a lot of vibration in the system. So the launch vehicle environment has to be launch vehicle structures and all other subsystems should withstand the launch environment, as well as we go up, the temperature is falling, there is vacuum. So every subsystem has to tolerate those sound, vibration, the temperature, low pressure, all those conditions has to be withstood, and that will be evaluated through environment simulation. Okay, now coming to rocket launching stations in India. Presently, we have 3 operational launch stations. That is TERLS, which was established in 1963. That is Tumba, which is a part of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. You can see it here, around 15 or 16 kilometers from Trivandrum city. Presently, the TERLS is used to launch satellites, launch sounding rockets almost every month or twice a month. So that is, those sounding rockets are used to study the upper atmosphere characteristics, maybe wind, solar characteristics, all those things. So you can also go there and see, maybe school can coordinate. Then another thing, our main rocket launching station is at Shri Satish Dhawan Space Flight Center. He was one of our earlier chairman, Professor Satish Dhawan. So in his name, it is named. So it is around 120 kilometers from Chennai, north of Chennai. There also students can go and watch launches. So well in advance, if you contact SDSC Public Relations, they will allow you to witness the launch. And the third one is under DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. They use it mainly for their missile testing. Anyway, it is not under ISRO. But now ISRO has set up a fourth launch station, launching pad at Kulasekharapatnam near Thuthukudi, primarily for SSLV class vehicles. And works are going on. Probably by 2026, 27, it will be operational. It is near Thuthukudi. So that there is a lot of advantage by positioning that launch pad at Thuthukudi. So it was inaugurated on 28th of February this year by Prime Minister of India. Now coming to satellites. So these are various types of satellites. There is a remote sensing satellite that IRS class, Indian remote sensing satellite, IRS-1 it started. Then there is a very famous satellite that is Cartosat, which can take 3D images of any plane. So military purposes, town planning and disaster response planning, all those things will be helped by remote sensing. Indian remote sensing satellites are well known, well respected by other countries, other spacefaring countries. Our optics, everything is perfect. Optic as well as the data that we derive from remote sensing satellites is ultimate. And you can see that photographs taken from remote sensing satellites of various other countries only is seen in the satellite image in Google Maps. You can see that. Then there are communication satellites. Earlier India started with INSAT class satellites. So they still serve, they are placed in geostationary orbits and 36,000 kilometers from Earth's surface. So they will be positioned always above a certain point. That is why it is called geostationary satellites, and they are primarily used for communication as well as maybe weather mapping at a given area. And the navigation satellites are primarily enabled with the GPS. They have high precision atomic clocks with which they give out the position of any object that it is linking with that particular satellite. So they are primarily used for GPS or that navigation purposes. They give us that longitude, latitude, as well as altitude of the receiving station. So that is what is navigation. So I missed one point. Now communication satellites are brought no longer positioned in 36,000 kilometers. They are now placed in much lower Earth orbit. You can see that Starlink, there is a Starlink satellite, a constellation of about 5,000 satellites placed by SpaceX. And there is a OneWeb series satellite that is operated by Eutelsat OneWeb group. That is also a constellation of 648. They are all used for communication as well as broadband internet. They are placed in much lower Earth orbit, probably somewhere around 300 to 500 kilometers altitude. Then there are scientific missions missions to Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and even asteroid mining purposes. So satellites are sent, and they are coming under satellites under that scientific missions. Even there are two or three satellites which were launched by the US in 70s. They have now crossed the solar system. The Pioneer, then Voyager, all those satellites were launched in late 70s. Those satellites have crossed or moved out of solar system. So that is a great news. Maybe you can read in those papers. And there are special purpose satellites. Mainly this is Hubble space satellite, which is placed at 350 kilometers altitude to see the deep space. Because terrestrial telescopes have a lot of limitations due to light pollution. There is dust. The visibility of faraway place, too far that light years across you cannot see. Light years is nothing but a unit of distance, not a time. So light years farther, it cannot see the terrestrial telescopes. So that is why space-borne telescopes are launched, and this is Hubble. And last year there was a James Webb telescope which is placed at the Lagrangian point, L2 point. This is at 350 kilometers. L2 point is 1.5 million kilometers away. That is L2 point. Just like L1 where we placed Aditya, James Webb telescope is placed there. And in 2026 and 27, there another satellite is planned by NASA. That is Grace Roman space-borne telescope. So that is also, that has 250 times more capability than the Hubble. So these are the very special purpose satellites. Now, as I explained the launch vehicle, these are the various parts of satellite. There is a power system, inbuilt power system, because it does not have any other source than the sun. Because it has to draw power from solar panels only. There is no other way. In the recent times, there are thermoelectric generators using radioisotope. That is there. So as well as low power, low energy nuclear reactors, they are also a part of power system. So otherwise, in the conventional designs, there is only the satellite is powered using solar panels, as well as it has a battery. Then there are this reflector is nothing but for communication purposes. Reflector and receiver will be there. Then this propulsion engine. See, this any satellite placed in Earth orbit will always fall towards Earth. It cannot stay there for long, because even though it is far situated there, it is always falling towards Earth due to Earth's gravity. Even though it is very small, very feeble, it is slowly falling towards the gravity. Towards Earth due to gravity. And to keep it at that position, we call it as a station keeping, attitude and orbit control system. So these engines will have to fire occasionally, depending on its position and orientation. This occasionally, these engines as well as other thrusters, we call them, thrusters keep on firing to keep the satellite at intended orbit. Otherwise, it will not serve its purpose. It will be lost forever. The payload is the useful item there. If it is a communication satellite, payload will be the communication payload, like traveling wave tube amplifiers, antennas and reflectors, receivers and all. Then there is structure. As I told you, the entire launch loads have to be borne by the satellite, otherwise it will simply crush. Normally when we are traveling in terrestrial vehicles, we are experiencing hardly a gravitational code. We call it G, that meter per second square. That acceleration, it will be of the order of maybe 0.1 or 0.05 G level. Whereas the race drivers, when they are taking turns, they may be experiencing around 2G, 3G, that 2 times gravitational constant, that is 9.8 meter per second square. Whereas the fighter pilots, when they are going at around 2000 kilometer per hour, that kind of speed, and when they are doing sudden maneuvers, they may be experiencing the G levels as high as 9G, 10G. And such kind of launch loads have to be borne by the satellite structure, otherwise it will simply crush. These are various satellites that we have made over the years. Aryabhata in 1975, we started with that, with the support of Soviet Union at that time, Aryabhata and Bhaskara, then Rohini, then Apple that I showed you in the beginning, which was a part of, which was mounted about that bullock cart. Then ISRO's stretched Rohini series, which was launched aboard ASLV successful flight in 1993. Then there is INSAT two-way communication satellites, which we took to Kourou, French Guiana. There are 1 series, 2 series, and 3 series. Up to 3E, it is there. So those were taken to Kourou for launch. Some are still operational. Then there is Chandrayaan 1 in 2008, of which Moon Impact Probe was one of the major component. That was our first attempt to touch the Moon. Chandrayaan is basically an orbiter, and a part of it was Moon Impact Probe. So based on the inputs gathered in Chandrayaan 1 mission, only we designed the Chandrayaan 2, which could not successfully land in 2019. That was a partly successful mission. Okay, then there was a Mars orbiter mission, which is still functional. Then Chandrayaan 3, which you are all aware, I need not explain on that. Then Aditya L1, that was launched, I think, sometime in September last year. Okay, coming to recent notable missions. So I will start with the PSLV C-57 Aditya L1 mission. So it was one of the most complex missions that we faced in the recent times. You can see the L1 point is around 15 lakh kilometers from Earth. There are 5 Lagrangian points in Earth-Sun system, 5 Lagrangian points, and this satellite, Aditya, will be placed in that L1 point. That too, it is in a halo orbit. It will be rotating around the L1 point in that, and one orbit takes around 178 days. That first orbit was completed only recently, maybe I think like in July mid, it completed the first orbit. But you can see how complex the maneuvering is. Some part was open loop guidance, that is from here we control. Some certain control aspects were already programmed in, so there is a closed loop guidance. So it does not have anything to see other than the positions of stars, moon and sun. So based on the relative positions, it will understand its position and it will navigate itself to the desired place. It's a very complex maneuver. So it was well appreciated by the spacefaring nations who can understand the complexities. Yeah, this point, Earth SOI exit means sphere of influence. Beyond this, the Earth's gravity has very little influence on the satellite trajectory. So that is why it is called Earth sphere of influence. Yeah, then another challenging mission that you all are aware, that is Chandrayaan 3, which was launched aboard LVM-3M4 mission. It consists of 3 parts: propulsion module, Vikram lander and Pragyan rover. So it conducted experiments for 1 lunar day. That is when the moon surface was lit. And for us, the 1 day is 12 hours. For moon, it is 14 Earth days. 14 Earth days is 14 into 24 hours. So that many days, that many hours, that surface will be sunlit, and all its solar panels. These are all solar panels on the sides, you can see. So those solar panels will get energy from sun. It will charge the battery. So even if there is no sunlight, batteries will work for a couple of hours. So that is what it was planned. And there was Pragyan rover, which did the experiments on the lunar soil or lunar regolith. So you can see it was such a complex mission, launching from Earth, taking a serious, consequently raising the orbit, then finally moving towards towards the moon, and that is called lunar transfer trajectory. It will go and slowly reducing the orbit to 100 kilometers, and finally, with the support of propulsion module, it will go to lunar surface. So August 23, it was when this landing happened on August 23rd. And the Prime Minister has declared this day as a special day, that is the National Space Day. And all ISRO centers are organizing various events and activities for August 23rd. Already they are started. So that is designated as National Science Day, Space Day. So this is another challenging mission which did not get much of a publicity, but extremely complex mission. Normally there will be 1 or 2 satellites, 2 major satellites, and there can be many mini satellites which will have a few days of life. Whereas here we had around 36 satellites. All are important. I told you earlier, OneWeb, that is Eutelsat OneWeb, that is a United Kingdom or England-based company. Eutelsat, they approached ISRO to launch 72 of their satellites so that they can be a part of their constellation for broadband internet. The full constellation is 648 satellites. They sought ISRO's help to place the 72 satellites in the intended orbit of 450 kilometer circular orbit. So it was an extremely challenging mission. Normally, the satellite, as I told you, there will be 1 or 2 major satellites. So as the intended target, orbit is achieved, it will be suddenly that space ordnance or the pyro will be fired and it will be injected into the target. And finally, the spent stage will be remaining there. It will have the satellite will be given a positive speed so that they do not collide each other. And here you can see it is changing its orientation 9 times. Normally it does not happen. That is why I am telling you this is a so complex mission and a lot of ingenious methods have gone into this particular mission. So the C25 is about our cryogenic stage, that is liquid hydrogen stage, C25, that shuts off there and it reorients itself by 90 degrees and the 4 satellites are injected and it further moves down at a certain speed, that is around 8 kilometers per second. It is moving along the trajectory at 450 kilometers. Again, the next set of satellites are injected. It reorients like that. 9 times it has reoriented. And at this point, all 36 satellites are injected. So it's very, very challenging mission. You can see from here, it has taken nearly 1.5 hours, more than 1.5 hours for the completion of entire satellite injection. So the first satellite, that LVM-3 mission for this purpose was in 2022 December, and it was repeated in 23 January or February. So that way, this is a very notable mission, but not given due attention in the newspapers. Another two missions are that reusable launch vehicle. You might have read in the newspaper recently, and this has been going on. This experiment, RLV LEX-03, Landing Experiment 01, was sometime last year, basically to demonstrate certain technologies, develop and demonstrate certain technologies for high-speed re-entry from outer space. You know, the space shuttle type of vehicles, when they return from 350 kilometers orbit, that reusable type of launch vehicle, they initially at the Earth interface, we call atmosphere interface at 100 kilometers, they will have a velocity of around 8 kilometers per second. And it has to be brought down to around 100 meters per second when they touch down. So they are all highly challenging technologies and they have to be demonstrated using experiments. So this is called LEX-01, and LEX-03 was accomplished last month. I think June or July it was accomplished. You might have seen. So this is the Chinook helicopter, dual rotor Chinook helicopter with the support of Indian Air Force. So this RLV, that reusable launch vehicle model, 1:4 model, it was taken to 4.5 kilometers altitude and 5 kilometers away from the airport airstrip, and it had an autonomous landing without any external control. It understood the alignment of that airstrip, that ATR, aeronautical test range. It understood, it realigned itself, and finally it landed. So at the time of landing, the touchdown, it had about 100 meters per second speed. So it had to decelerate its velocity using a parachute. After some time, this parachute will be detached, and finally other type of brakes will be applied to come to a full halt. So there's a major achievement in the recent times. So another experiment also you might have read in the last 2 weeks or so. There was one dual fuel scramjet flight experiment. As I told you earlier, all launch vehicles normally carry fuel as well as oxidizer. Because when these two mix only, there will be combustion will be happening. Fuel alone will not burn. It will require oxygen or air to combust itself. That combustion only gives the energy and further thrust. So if you are able to take the air from ambient, that will be greatly helpful. You need to carry only the fuel. So that is a kind of thought even maybe for a few decades our scientists are having. So in that connection, we were trying out an experiment with the dual fuel. Initially, the combustion will happen at using air hydrogen. We demonstrated that in August 2016. And in the recent times, about a couple of weeks back, we attempted another event with air hydrogen kerosene. That is also successful. So we will be going finally to air and kerosene flights in the subsequent months. So these are the various developments happening there. Now coming to another major activity that ISRO has embarked, that is Gaganyaan. So the major objective of Gaganyaan is to take a crew to low Earth orbit of 300 to 400 kilometers altitude and bring them back safely. So that safely has a very important meaning or significance, because they have to be brought back safely. So that human rating or reliability is of paramount importance here. So normal success rates, as I told you, 1 in 1,000 will be a failure. Like that, such a thing is not at all acceptable. It has to be 1 in 1 lakh or 1 in a million. That kind of failure rate only is acceptable for human rating purposes. So it is extremely complex, and factors over many factors are considered to improve the reliability and improve the ruggedness of the vehicle, as well as all other subsystems. So the initial that launch vehicle Mark III, that LVM-3 itself will be modified to construct a human rated launch vehicle. So it will have a, you can see how it is different from how it is different from this thing. It is a bulbous payload fairing, whereas you can see here in the human rated activity, human rated vehicle, you can see there is a, that bulb is now replaced with a totally different shroud as well as crew escape system. That means, say, as I told you, this LVM-3 is around 61 meters tall, and that means from the ground the crew is sitting at around 60 meters height, and when all fuel is charged into this, it will take hours to get the system launched. That means after crew is seated there, many activities are performed on the launch vehicle before launch, and it will take hours before actual launch happening. So in the event of any malfunction happening, any of the systems that will endanger the lives of the crew escape system should function. This is a very complex system, and there are 5 rocket motors, small scale rocket motors that are part of crew escape system. Low altitude escape motor, high altitude escape motor, crew jettisoning motor. Many subsystems are combined into or compacted into the crew escape system. And orbital module or the crew is sitting at this point. So if any malfunction is happening or detected, immediately the crew escape system will activate, and within milliseconds they will be pulled from that launch pad or any point in the launch trajectory itself, and they will be made to land in sea or land, made to land in sea or land safely. So that is one of the major development happening. And then there is orbital module. See, in a closed, this is nothing but a capsule where the crew is seated, or even actually they are lying there. They cannot just like sit like us. So they are lying there. That kind of posture they have to retain for nearly 1 week. Entire mission they have to retain. So that orbital module contains everything that is required for their 7-day mission. In a closed room, we cannot sit just like that without putting on AC or without opening the window. Whereas in deep space, we cannot. There is no window to the modules. So everything has to be a part of the orbital module itself. That is air conditioning, their cooling, humidity control, their waste management. Everything will be a part of the orbital module. Then there is propulsion system. As I told you, the crew as well as this orbital module should be able to maneuver or move itself to from the point of injection to the point of re-entry or while coming back. This many operations, it requires its own inbuilt propulsive system. So that is a part of it. Then there is a communication and power system. Navigation and guidance and control, deceleration system at the time of landing. As I told you, at entry interface of 100 kilometers, this orbital module, that crew module will have a speed of 8 kilometers per second. If it is entering the Earth's atmosphere, it will simply burn up. You know that in 2001, what happened to Kalpana Chawla? You might have read, who are interested in the space technology, you might have read what happened to Kalpana Chawla. They simply burnt up in the upper atmosphere because they could not apply air brake. So that kind of deceleration system has to be a part of the system. Then there is, once it is falling in sea or any water body, it has to be made upright. Otherwise, the crew will be upside down. So there is an uprighting system, and it has to keep there floating until the recovery people come there and pick them up. It may be hours or it may be days, don't know, depending on the touchdown point. So that is what is called uprighting and flotation system. Then there is recovery logistics with the support of Indian Navy or Indian Coast Guard or any foreign country. Depending on the touchdown point, we need to organize the recovery logistics. So these are the various subsystems that for which the developments are going on towards Gaganyaan. And the initial, and you might have read about forgot. Okay, that robot, humanoid robot also you might have read about. So that will be a part of G1, Gaganyaan Mission 1. And so these are various ground tests before we go to human-rated manned flight, H series. So there is an integrated airdrop test vehicle TV D1, TV D2, you might have read in the newspapers. Then there is pad abort mission to confirm the functionality as well as reliability of the crew escape system. Then there are G series vehicles, G1, G2, G3, without any human being in there. To understand more about the space environment. And finally, there will be a manned flight, that is H series H1. Now, these are various plans, activities going on in VSSC in association with other centers. Other centers, majority of the activities I am not aware. These are various activities going on in VSSC, my own center. NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar, NISAR for remote sensing. That is one major mission that we are expecting anytime now. But I mean, this NISAR satellite jointly built by ISRO as well as NASA, Jet Propulsion Laboratory of NASA, that has a 12-meter diameter antenna reflector. So at the time, it was actually supposed to, this particular satellite was supposed to be launched sometime in February or March, but at the last moment certain concerns were raised about the thermal environment there. As I told you, space is unforgiving. There is absolute vacuum and temperatures as low as 4 Kelvin, maybe minus 270 degrees, 269 degrees, up to 4 Kelvin it can go. And sometimes the plus direction up to 200, 300 degrees also can go. So there is a huge temperature excursion happening at the deep space. So it has to withstand such a large diameters, large size articles. If they are having any kind of distortion, entire objective of the mission is jeopardized. So to avoid that, it is that particular antenna is taken back to the US. Now it is undergoing certain validation tests in their ground simulation facilities. And once it is brought back to India, it will be launched aboard GSLV. Then there is RLV re-entry, orbital re-entry experiment. As I told you, that LEX 1 to LEX 3 that happened, that is a drop from 5 kilometers altitude using helicopters. Whereas this re-entry experiment means it will be launched to the outer space and it will make a re-entry from 100 kilometers entry interface. So it will have all kinds of re-entry environment. That is, the temperatures that the vehicle experience will be of the order of 6,000 Kelvin. 6,000 degrees Celsius, and that thermal protection is very important for that re-entry experiment. So that is planned probably in 2025. Activities are going on. Then there are human space flight program. Already I briefed you various technologies required for human space flight. Then the G series and H series flights in the next 2 or 3 years' time. Then rendezvous and docking. So this is very important. As you are aware, our ISRO has given a commitment to Honorable Prime Minister that we are embarking onto placing a space station, our own space station called Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan station. That will be first module. It has 5 modules, 5 parts. First module will be placed in 2028, and the entire space station will be operational in 2035. We have given a commitment to the Prime Minister as well as to the country. So one of the major requirement is the rendezvous and docking, because the space station will be there, and when the cargo missions or the people are going there and brought back, it has to be docked. That individual missions will be going up there. It has to be docked with the ISS there, or our Bharatiya BAS there. It has to be docked and opened. The hatch will be opened. People have to ingress and egress. So that way, this is a very important technology that needs to be proven in the low Earth orbit. So that activity is also happening. You know that. Sunita Williams' case also you might have read. For the last 60 days she is stranded there because she is unable to come back aboard that Boeing Starliner. Just because the thrusters, out of 40 or 50 thrusters, 5 are not working. And those thrusters are required to precisely align her trajectory, return trajectory in the intended orbit. Otherwise she also will burn up. So to prevent that, they are taking all the precautions to make sure that it is all in order. So that rendezvous and docking is very important. Then I told you next generation launch vehicle, the developments are happening, that liquid oxygen, liquid methane, engine development as well as its clustering. For all our launch vehicle, we have only one nozzle at the bottom, whereas here we are planning with 9 nozzles for propulsion system. Then there is a hypersonic airframe integrated vehicle, that whatever technology we have developed through the air breathing engine program. So it will be flight demonstrated in a hypersonic airframe integrated launch vehicle. Then we are also targeting to bring moon soil samples. Sample return has to be done from moon. Initially it will be attempted from moon, and later on there are missions planned towards moon and Venus. So these are various activities, or study teams are working on this one. So definitely in the next coming years we will read much more about these programs. And to make any launch program economic, we need to be able to reuse the spent stages. Now all components of the launch vehicle are either going to the sea or falling back to the sea after serving the mission, or they wander around in the low Earth orbit or in any of the orbit after serving the function. So but in order to make the launch market very competitive, we need to recover those stages and reuse it, so that much of cost can be saved. So that spent stage recovery, that various options are also being worked out, as well as that will be experimentally proven, and contribute to asteroid warning and planetary defense. That also you may be reading in newspapers as well as articles. So we are joining hands with NASA and ESA towards asteroid warning as well as planetary defense. And these are finally we are also given a word to the country that we will have a manned mission to moon by 2040. So these are various activities going on in our center, as well as in association with other centers of ISRO. These are upcoming mission. As I told you, SSLV D3 is scheduled on August 15th. Then the C-59 Proba 3, PSLV N1, that is through NSIL, its commercial arm of ISRO. NSIL TDS 1, GSLV F-15 NVS-02. Basically, this is a part of IRNSS, that is Indian National Region. It's a navigation system, IRNSS, that navigation GPS-like satellite. So NVS-02 is IRNSS class satellite. Then there is F-16 EOS, Earth Observation Satellite, like Cartosat. This is for mapping as well as remote sensing. EOS-03. So these are all lined up. In the coming months, these launches will happen, along with the G1 and H1. So these are various centers. A screen grab I have put here for the information of all of you. So major center, the lead center is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, specialized in launch vehicles, launch vehicle technology. Then there is Liquid Propulsion System Center at Valiamala, about 10 kilometers from Trivandrum town. Liquid Propulsion System Center. Then Mahendragiri is where large liquid engines are tested. Then we have ISRO Satellite Center, where all satellite systems are built and integrated and tested. Then another major center is at Ahmedabad, There is Space Application Center where the payloads, special payloads for the satellites are made. Then there is a remote sensing, National Remote Sensing Center, where all the remote sensing satellite data is synthesized and given to the public for various end users. So that's all. That's all for that is the presentation on ISRO. So I hope some of you. Okay. So I hope you have understood the complexities of aerospace programs, and I'm not finished. I'm not finished. See, I have. This is aerospace research is one of the areas that you can go, or there are scores of such areas. There are scores, maybe even close to 100 areas that you can channelize yourself to. And the advice is that you should be aware of everything around you. Need not focus on physics or chemistry or mathematics. You should not, because such people do not have any role in the present scenario. The organization like ISRO will prefer, or any modern organization will prefer only those who have multidisciplinary knowledge. That means everybody should know everything. Master of all, master of everything, like that. Earlier it was master of nothing. It is not like that. Master of all, I mean, what is that? Yeah. So that way, so you should master every topic. And another one request is that you should stay away from social media like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. They are nothing but time wasters. You don't get anything by looking into what other people do, what others' status is. We don't gain anything other than frustration or desperation or envy. So other than that, we don't gain anything out of it. So my suggestion is that you should spend time on books. Probably you can utilize our Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's library. I understand that we have around 15,000 books here, out of which, but majority is fiction, but which I do not favor. And 5,000 reference. I would prefer the other way. We should invest more on the scientific and technical books, and children should be made to read the hard copies, not the soft copies, because that way people should start loving books, print copy of books. Only then we can be the leaders, not the followers. Another thing that I would remind you is that see how China is making strides. In people say that was planned almost a century ago by those things. I do not consider that, but it is well planned. You can see that Chinese and Koreans, they migrated to the US or developing countries way back in 40s and 50s, and the migration continued either for job or studies. They went there, they gathered knowledge, they worked in high-profile companies, and now they are all coming back to their countries and contribute them. So that is what has resulted in the rapid development of China. Earlier days, I remember 30, 40 years ago when I was a kid, I remember that Chinese products means it is good for nothing. Now, each and everything, even Apple phones are made in China. And the Chinese are making great strides in space technology, aerospace technology, everything. You name it, and China is in the forefront. Mainly is this. One is national policy. Secondly, the way the technology, how the technology is managed there, science and technology is managed. Unless we master or unless we gain a handle on science and technology, our country cannot be a superpower. Superpower means it's not like that we are going to attack our neighboring countries and all. It's like bullying, what is happening, what is prevailing in some of the schools and colleges. We will not, we will not bully a fellow who is going to gymnasium and all, because we are afraid of that fellow, because he will hit back. We will not bully a person who is foul-mouthed, because we know we are going to get bad words. So that way, if we are powerful, it's not for fighting with anybody. It is only deterrence, and we have to be really leaders in the science and technology. We have to empower our lower privileged class also. Only then we can excel everything. So on this occasion, I once again thank the school organization for giving ISRO to interact with you. So I thank you, and I wish all the very best to the students assembled here, as well as students assembled, watching this event online. All the very best to all. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, I should. Any questions?
Hello, sir, I'm Manvit, and my question is, will the universe ever end, or will it extend till infinity or collapse on itself? Or
Pardon me, that question is not clear. Can you?
will the universe, it keeps expanding for infinity, right?
Yeah.
Do you think will it collapse on itself, or keep increasing till atoms cease to exist?
Yeah, what I have read is that the universe is presently expanding, but there will be a point, there will be a time at which it will start the reverse process, and finally it will collapse. That's what I have read, like you have done. I am not expert in that subject, but universe is a vast expanse. Like in Hindu mythology, there is Anadi Ananta, like that. It is so vast.
Hello, sir. So my question is, how can we as students contribute to space research? Yeah, I'm Devityuti and I'm 11th grader. So.
Okay. Space research means there are two things. One is astronomy, for which you should study physics. And there is a separate class now that is coming up, a separate course that is offered by some of the universities of the country, on which offer courses on astronomy and stellar physics. All those things people are offering. And the next is that you can contribute to what ISRO presently does. 95% of our activity is on the utilization of the space technology. That is on launch vehicles as well as satellites, and that reap the benefits of this satellite technology. So for which when physics, chemistry, maths, as well as engineering subjects can contribute. Now definitely people with microbiology, when human habitats are coming up in the moon or in the Bharat Antariksha station, definitely there will be openings for microbiology people, doctors, because crew physiology is one of the major hurdles that we are going to face. When the astronaut is spending time there, he is facing a lot of issues. He is not enjoying his life there. So for which human physiology or that low gravity physiology, psychology, everything matters. So all those people can contribute to ISRO. Next question.
Sir, my question is, are there any safety concerns for people who are going in Gaganyaan mission?
Safety concerns are there, and we are here to address those safety concerns and make them safely fly and safely bring them back. So there are safety concerns. Concerns means I would not say concerns. There are certain situations which we have to face. See, the Apollo, as in 1961, there people flew in the Mercury, Gemini. Those flights happened in 1960s, early 1960s. But they had taken those specific risks at that time, because there was a space race going on in between USA and the USSR. So people were trying to take risks. Now the risks are not there. We don't want to take any risk. We are addressing all those concerns, and just like we are traveling from here to Edapalli, these people will go there and come back safely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So my name is Anagha, and I have 3 questions. What if a launch satellite loses its trajectory after going into space and collides with another satellite, which is, for example, from an enemy country? What would ISRO do?
Okay, there are actually the satellites when they complete the end of life. Maybe certain satellites have a short life of maybe 5 years. Some communication satellites or more expensive satellites we built for 15 years because that is a one-time investment and we want them to be there for as long as possible. So once they complete their end of life, either they are pushed to satellite graveyard. They are called graveyard orbits. So they are deorbited to a less crowded areas. That is graveyard orbit. That is possible in 36,000 kilometers altitude, whereas now we are seeing crowding in the low Earth orbit. That is between 200 kilometers to 400 kilometers orbit. Lot of crowding is happening. As I just showed you, that Starlink and OneWeb and Amazon, as well as many. Last week there was a launch by Chinese launch agency in Long March 6. They have launched about 28 satellites. So all these satellites, once they complete, they remain there, and now the understanding is that they will be deorbited to enter into Earth's atmosphere, and once it is entering Earth's atmosphere, it will burn up by itself. It will burn up by itself. Nothing can survive that unless it is so huge, it will not survive. So that is one thing. Secondly, ISRO has started earlier days and all, say this PSLV, that is having 4 stages. So the 4th stage, it is to the 4th stage that the satellite is connected. That payload adapter is a part of 4th stage. So once that satellite is injected, this 4th stage simply wanders around there. Depending on its position and trajectory as well as speed, it will be there for a few months or even years. Now what we have decided is that we are carrying a little more fuel in that PS4. We are making that stage to re-enter into Earth's atmosphere and make to fall it in Point Nemo, that is somewhere near Australia or Hawaii. That area we are impacting it at that 180-degree latitude. You can see in the Pacific Ocean. You can see Point Nemo. All satellites the spent stages are made to impact at Point Nemo, maybe within 100 kilometers radius. And we have taken that pledge, and by 2030, all our missions will be debris free. We will not create any debris at space. Yeah.
So one more question. Has an ISRO mission from a failed mission ever affected the people who live around the launch pad? Like, for example, falling debris or anything like that?
No. None of our ISRO missions have harmed any of the personnel in and around our country, inside or outside. Nothing. No. None of our missions have endangered the lives of others.
Sir, are there any programs for students to take part in related to space, such like that?
See, there is a program called Yuvika. I think the details will be available in ISRO website. There is a program called Yuvika. I think that is for 10th standard students. So they take a few students from every state of the country, and they give a training for about 1 month or 2 months. They will be moved around the country at various centers. So just to give a flavor of what ISRO does. So there's a program there. You can get more details from ISRO website.
Are there any workshops or other program for students?
Another thing what we can do is during World Space Week, that is October 3rd to 9th, World Space Week, I think October 3rd to 8th. Yeah. So our teams go to various schools and give lectures, present what is done by ISRO and how you can be a part of ISRO. So that team earmarked for this kind of outreach activities will go to various schools in the country, 3rd to 8th. We can do that.
Okay, sir.
So I have So I have one doubt. It's my older doubts as child why like ISRO conducts its launch pad at Sreenivas only. Why does not Tirundaram? Like nowadays, Chandrayaan 3 launched at Sreenivas or like that.
The question is not clear.
Okay, sir, why does ISRO's mission is launched at Sreenivas? Why does not Tirundaram?
Okay, see, these are all heavy launch vehicles. Mark 3, you can see that it is weighing around 600 tons. So 600 tons of fuel. So it is nothing but an explosive. So you cannot handle such things in populated areas. So if you look at the launch pads, they all are placed in very, very remote locations where any explosive hazard, explosive nature, explosive event, explosion event is not still theory only. There's nothing proven. People are researching. I don't know anything about that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, what are the steps to be taken if we wish to take up aviation in our future? Like what are the exams we should write to become an engineer, aerospace?
See, there are various institutes offering you courses in aviation. If you want to study, you study in premier institutes itself. Don't go to maybe, you just check the NIRF ranking, their employability characteristics and all, because there are many colleges offering courses in aviation, but not all are that good. You should study in IITs or RECs, NITs. There are other private institutions also which are ranked high in NIRF. So those people are offering courses in aviation, aerospace, everything is there. So definitely that will be a launch pad. And in addition, you need not take up aviation alone, but that will be confining you to a very narrow area. You can even go to mechanical, electrical, fundamental engineering, that streams still have relevance. Mechanical, electrical, civil, they still have relevance. All these structures, aircraft, rocket structures are designed by civil engineers. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your highly informative and enlightening address. Your words have truly inspired us and provided valuable insights into the incredible work being done by the ISRO. I invite Srimati Sunita S., Academic Supervisor, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Kochi Kendra, to present a memento to Shri N. Sreenivas as a token of our appreciation. Thank you. Before we conclude, I would like to call upon Annie Josephine Fenol, Senior Associate Head Girl, to propose the vote of thanks.
Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." Namaste to one and all present here. On behalf of all of us, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished chief guest, Shri N. Sreenivas, Director of VSSC, for his enlightening talk on ISRO past, present and future. Your passion for space exploration and your insights into ISRO's remarkable journey and future aspirations have truly made this session a memorable one. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Srimati Sunita S., Academic Supervisor, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Kochi Kendra. Your support and presence has greatly enriched this session. I would also like to extend our deepest appreciation to our Principal, Srimati Mini K, Vice Principal, Srimati Bindu M.R., and Assistant Vice Principal, Srimati Devaki K, for their continuous guidance and encouragement. Your leadership and support have been instrumental in making this session a success. A special thanks to our dedicated teachers and non-teaching staff for their relentless support and commitment. Your efforts are the foundation of our success and have made this event possible. And to our enthusiastic audience, thank you for your active participation and engaging questions. Your curiosity and enthusiasm have added immense value to this session. As we conclude, let us carry forward the inspiration and the knowledge we have gained today. ISRO's journey reminds us that with dedication and innovation, the sky is just the beginning. Thank you all once again and have a wonderful day ahead.
As we reflect on ISRO's past, from the early days of launching the SLV-3 to the remarkable Mars Orbiter mission, and look ahead to its future endeavors like the Gaganyaan mission, we are reminded of the words of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, the father of the Indian space program. The development of the nation is intimately linked with understanding and application of science and technology by its people. I once again thank each and every one of you for joining us today and for contributing to the success of this event. Let us continue to be inspired by the spirit of exploration and innovation that organizations like ISRO embody. Hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you. I request everyone to remain seated until our guest leaves the hall.